If you subscribe to a streaming media service like Netflix, for example, you'll want to take advantage of their parental controls. This will be the first video in a series where I'll show you how to set up parental controls for the various most popular streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and Hulu. Netflix is the most popular streaming platform in 2026. They also have the most robust parental controls, and I'll show you how to set those up. Now, you can have up to 5 separate profiles for your Netflix account. Now, as you can see here, I've maxed out all 5 of mine. I've got 5 kids. I've had to double up on some of these profiles. So I won't show you actually how to create a new profile from here because I can't do that. I will show you all of the settings in the profile. But if you haven't set up 5 profiles yet, you're going to have an option of adding a profile from here. Now, whether you do this on a web via a computer, or from the app, the Netflix app on your phone, or from the Netflix app on a TV, these settings should all be pretty much the same. When you create a new profile, it's going to give you the option of setting that profile as a kid's profile. And you can see of my 5 profiles here, I've got one of them that's set as a kid's. It's noted by the word kids that is listed on the profile photo. Now you can name the profiles whatever you want. So in my case, I'm using the initials of my kids. When you set up a kid's profile, it's going to give you a sort of curated experience based on the settings that you've chosen, which I'll show you how to go in and customize those settings. But it's going to give you specific videos and shows that are curated with the ratings that you've chosen, and they'll be curated to only show those types of shows to your kids. Just like a regular Netflix profile, however, your kids can create their own watch lists. They can search, they can browse, they can set things like subtitles and such. So let's exit out of this profile and I'll show you how to edit. So I'm going to switch to manage profiles here. You can also get to these profiles from the settings menus from your account. I can now click on the profile that I want to customize the settings for. So I'm going to choose my kids profile. If we go into this adjust parental controls section, this is where we will have the option to set up the various parental controls that they have. Because this account is listed as a kids account, it's going to require you to sort of re-authenticate your main account information in order to get access to customize the parental controls. Now, when you set up the profile, you're going to choose for it to be a kid's profile. And in the parental controls settings is where you can see that this is marked as a kid's profile. You can unmark it as a kid's profile at any point if you want to sort of adjust that for maybe a teenager. You can see here that there's a maturity rating scale. Now, many of the streaming services have this as an option, which is it aligns with the ratings of movies and TV shows. So you can see I have this particular one set to TV, PG, and PG. So that means it will only show content with those ratings and below. You also have the option here, and Netflix is the only service right now that I'm aware of that allows for this, but you can actually restrict specific titles from their catalog from showing up in the kid's profile. So even if there is a title that falls within that content rating, like TV PG, if I don't want my kid to even be able to see it from their profile, I can actually put in the name of that title into this list, and it won't even show it to my child in the profile. To do that, what's nice is you can just type in a specific keyword or a part of the title, and it will actually pop down with their various titles that exist within their catalog that match that, and then you can choose from here. So this gives parents very granular control over what titles and content they want to allow for their kids in the profile. Now, this can get somewhat cumbersome if you want to add a lot of titles. You may want to consider instead maybe seeing if you could just bump the rating down another notch to prevent some of those titles, but you do have that option. Now, when you start setting up profiles for other members of your family, you'll want to set a pin on your primary profile so that it can't just be accessed, especially if you have a higher rating listed on your profile. I'll show you how to do that here. Now, from the primary profile, you'll want to come into this privacy and data settings section, and you'll want to turn the profile lock to on and set a pin for that. Now, what that'll do is that will set a pin for your primary account so that you'll need to enter the pin. Even on the Netflix app on a TV, you'll need to enter the pin to get into your profile. But what that'll also do is require that pin if you want to add profiles. So one of your kids can't just come on to the TV and choose the option to add a profile without providing that pin. Now, also keep in mind that the primary Netflix account cannot be set as a kid's account. So in order to do a kid's account, you'll need to set up another profile, a secondary profile, in addition to the main one. And then you'll want to set this profile lock on the main. Now, you can set profile locks on any of the accounts. So if you have multiple accounts for your kids and they want their own account to be protected with a pin so that they have to enter a pin so their siblings aren't going in and messing with their watch history or their where they were at in a season on a show, you can set up pins for any of the profiles. In order to do that, you would go into the profile settings and you would set up profile lock for each of the profiles. Now, some of the other settings in here that we can adjust for these kids profiles, for any profiles, even if it's not set as a kid, if you have a profile for your teen that's not in kids mode, you can still set these same types of controls. I would recommend coming into the playback settings here and choosing to turn off the autoplay features. That will prevent these titles and shows from kind of automatically playing like a clip from the show or the trailer for the movie. And then there's also the autoplay next episode. So if they're watching a show, once an episode ends, if this is turned on, which I believe it is by default, it'll just start playing the next episode automatically. So in order to kind of control so there's not an endless stream of episodes playing potentially, you can come in here and turn off the autoplay next episode. And then for each of the profiles, you have the option of coming in and seeing the viewing activity. So you can actually see the dates and the titles of what was viewed in that profile. Now, just to show you how it compares to a profile that's not in kids mode, we'll go into the settings here. You can see you can still set up a profile lock. You can still adjust parental controls the same way. You can still restrict individual titles. You can still set the autoplay settings. Now, one thing to keep in mind from real world experience is once you've set up a PIN, and this goes for just about all of the streaming services, once you set up a PIN for your primary profile or for the kids' profiles, you have to actually enter that PIN if you're watching it on a TV. And a lot of times the PIN is visible, at least for a moment, when you're entering it on a TV. Most of the time, it's only 4 digits. So just keep that in mind. You might want to somehow, like, I tell my kids, hey, don't look, I got to enter the PIN. Uh, you may, try to block the screen when you enter it in. Whatever you do, just keep in mind that that is something that I wish for the TV apps, at least, I wish that they had a better way of kind of entering the PIN. There is something with the Amazon Fire TV that allows the little like round wheel on the remote to access different numbers, and it kind of obscures on the screen what numbers are being entered. And I think that's a pretty great way that they went about that. However, even on the Fire TV, when you go into like the Netflix app, for example, it doesn't utilize that same sort of pin with the wheel interface. So unfortunately, you still need to kind of, scroll through the numbers on the screen and select each of the numbers individually. So I wish there was a better way to do that, but that's how it is. And that's what you need to know for setting up parental controls in Netflix. Now, let me know in the comments what you think of Netflix's parental controls. Also, let me know of what streaming media services you use, what you'd like to see me make videos on. This is the first in a series that I intend for the most popular streaming services, and I'll include links in the description below for the following videos as well. Thanks for watching.